So this one is going to be Tom Cruise caricature. He's one of those guys that's very recognizable, almost too easy to caricature because you've seen him before. But this one I had done almost 2 years ago, and I like the sketch. There's a few things, little problems I have with it now, but as you can see, it's just a little pencil sketch. It's based on this photo here on the left, and I've got this guy on the right floating because I also want to see some of the other. It's a good caricature reference photo, but it's not the same angle, so it gives me some insight into the three-dimensionality of his face, and I can see where some areas tuck down and where some areas stick out. Helps me remember that this isn't what I'm drawing. It's that I'm drawing this person. From different angles, he can look different, and I'm trying to get as much information as I possibly can. I'm going to start in a fairly monochromatic painting, and I'm going to do that by moving forward by laying a layer of a sepia or a sienna tone on top of it. It's just a low opacity, as you can see, and you can still see the pencil sketch through it. And underneath it, I made the drawing a multiply layer. That way the whites become clear and the darks stay. And I'm going to paint underneath this with just a sort of a beige color, and because of the saturation of the brown that I have on top of the drawing, it's going to be fairly monochromatic browns, and I'm just going to start painting in the darks where I want to indicate shadows so that it'll get an overall form and a three-dimensional quality before I even start laying any color down. By doing this, it's something that's not new. A lot of artists have done this. You're just basically painting a monochromatic painting something so you establish your values first. Some people I've heard say that no matter, you can use any color you want, but as long as the values are there, it's going to be a strong piece. I think that's true to a certain degree, and values are very important, and having a strong drawing is very important. Now this drawing, I may end up changing things here and there as I go, because over time you start realizing that, you know, I spent an hour or a half hour on this drawing, maybe 30 minutes on this drawing, and it's not the strongest drawing. There's some things that I can see corrected with it, but I like the overall vibe of it. I like the extreme exaggeration of it. I like the expression. So I want to keep those things, but I might tighten up a few things, like this ridge in his nose, or bringing his nostril back just a little further right here, and maybe a little more vertical, that little shadow there. If you hear any clicking in the background, like I've said before, I've got my Wacom tablet programmed for brush size right there. My friend Court Jones, who's a great illustrator and caricaturist, he says that you want to paint with the largest brush size you can get away with. Never go small if you're filling a large area. And that's a good thing to remember when you're painting, because then you get little tiny silly brush strokes in areas when you just want to generalize. So you don't want to get too detailed at first. I'm going to try to keep it nice and simple. He's got some harsh shadows on his face. One of them in particular is right here, and I want to indicate that. I might go a little darker with this part of the painting, this portion of it. So maybe I'll make this color a little bit darker. Don't have to go too saturated, like I said, because the brown is covering the saturation because of the values. And I'm just going to paint in a few more dark areas before I jump to the lighter areas. I look at artwork as you want to share it. You want to inspire other people. The biggest kick I get out of doing artwork is the fact that I can inspire other people. And there's no match to that. It's really cool to know that I got someone excited, much like I was excited when, say, I first saw an artist's work that I love, like this artist Sebastian Kruger. I really, really love. The first time I saw his work, I was so excited and so happy, and my friend Bo Hufford showed it to me. I love that feeling, and if I can help another artist attain that feeling, man, that's my day, that's my week, that makes my year, actually. And when I get emails every now and then saying, you know, your work is really funny, and or I really love your painting, that just does it for me. That's the only reason I keep doing it. That, and like my friend Keelan says, my worst day of the year, all I have to do is get up and draw funny pictures. That's another great way to look at it. So I've established some darks here. I haven't gone to the darkest dark, but I'm getting the idea of what I want to do with the tones of this picture. So you can see I've got a general feel for it, starting to look okay. I'm going to go ahead and put a layer on top of this sepia layer, or this, I keep calling it sepia, it's more of a terracotta. And I change it from normal to soft light up here in the layers option. What that does is that allows me to create white without losing the drawing entirely, because I can paint on top of it, but I'm still going to keep the lines. I want to keep that drawing there because I don't want to lose some of the lines. I'll worry about that later. I'll paint on top of it. So for now, I'm just going to basically pick a white. And I've got the flow down on my brush a little bit, as you can see. That's almost like drawing with pastels because it's a progressive thing. You put a little more and more and build up on there. It's not an all or none. So I'm going to start adding a little bit of lights in here, just based on the drawing or based on the reference. That's all I'm doing is I'm looking at this reference here and I'm adding some lights where I see lights and some darks where I see darks because the drawing is established. I already put the time in for that. And I'll have another podcast, I'm sure, coming up. If you you might be able to find it already, where I've got where I go over some drawing things. But for now, I'm just going to talk about painting from the drawing that I've already established. So I'm adding some lights and just basically picking up where I see any lighter value than a middle value on the reference. So all this right here, where I see some volume, where I see glares, things like that. Now I'm going to want to change his drawing a little bit. I can see already because his eye, the way it's pushed a little too close to his nose, and the way this brow is pushed a little too far in. I want to work with that. I'm going to go ahead and just whiten his teeth. He's got some crooked teeth, and I like that. That's one of those things about Tom Cruise I've noticed over the years is his teeth used to be real crooked. Check out some of his early movies, like real early. I think he was in this one fantasy movie with I can't remember her name. She was in the Hulk movie. Jennifer Connelly, I think. Maybe it wasn't her. There was someone, and he played this like wood sprite, and it was so funny because he didn't expect it to be him. He's bouncing around in trees, and he's got these jacked up teeth when he finally does smile, and it looks like his middle teeth, his front two teeth, kind of slide over to the left side of his face, to his left. And that's just, I don't know, it's funny looking. And he's gotten braces. You might remember a few years back when Tom Cruise had some braces and he tried to get them fixed, but they keep sliding over. I've got some crooked teeth. Nothing wrong with that. My front teeth, my right front teeth, from my perspective, it always seems to push forward a little bit. I think it's funny. I got braces when I was a kid and it just keeps pushing forward. You can't stop it. So I'm going to add some highlights in his hair just a little bit here just to show where I've got that, because like I said, I'm not losing the darks too well. It's just painting on top. It's just, you're losing a little bit of that, but I don't mind it as long as I can see the lines underneath. Now I'm going to go ahead and add some lights around him just so I can get a feel. It'll make those darks seem darker in the back of his head and his shirt. And I'm just going to I'll drop the flow down here so that I don't put too harsh color on. And this is just going to make him seem like he pops out a little bit more. It's like adding a harsher edge, more sharp edge. Hard and soft edges, that's something that is tricky to figure out. And the more you do it, the more you become comfortable with it. My friend Court Jones was talking about doing hard and soft edges, and he says that he experiments with it and just tries what goes on with him. I try to base it on focus or non-focus. I know my friend Jan Oftebeek, great caricaturist in Belgium, he works with where he wants the viewer to be attracted to. So with me, my mouth is so large when he draws a caricature of me, he focuses on my gums and my teeth. Therefore, he makes everything else a little more blurry when he's doing a digital painting or when he's painting. And that's interesting. I think you can use have a number of reasons to do hard or soft edges, and there's no right or wrong answer. Though there are ways that it does work and doesn't work, and you just want to keep that in mind.